like to start these redraft rebuilds with backstory, with narrative, just to let you, set the tone, get your mind in the right spot. And here we are in 2017. This one doesn't need a whole lot of going on about. It has been one of the most, if not the most, requested redraft rebuild. And this is for the 2017 Chicago Bears, where they traded up, gave up a lot of assets to leapfrog, I guess, the 49ers, who I don't think we're going to draft this man, Mr. Biscuit, the Nickelodeon slime MVP, the MVP, whatever you want to call it. They ended up selecting him in a draft class that was stacked with quarterback talent for a franchise that has been absolutely, I don't even know what the proper word would be. Starved of a franchise quarterback. The Chicago Bears drafted Mitchell Trubisky, and while there was some slight flashes, generally it was an incredibly disappointing experience. Today we're going to go through the what if that must be going through the minds of Chicago Bears fans countless times throughout the last 4 or 5 years. What if the Chicago Bears, instead of trading up for Mitchell Trubisky, traded up for the most talented quarterback, the best quarterback in the NFL in today's landscape, Patrick Mahomes? That is what we're going to answer today. And I get it, Chicago Bears fans. You got Justin Fields. Hopefully he's your guy. I think the NFL is a better place when the Chicago Bears are a formidable team. And that is what we're going to try to go through here today. Not through, the ups and downs of Mitchell Trubisky and ending up just releasing him or not picking up his option. He goes to free agency. No. We are going to put the freakiest of freaks at that quarterback spot into the Bears team, in Patrick Mahomes, and we're going to see over the next 5 seasons what we can achieve here with the Chicago Bears. Let's go make it a reality. Welcome Patrick Mahomes to the Chicago Bears. So take a look at our draft recap. I tried to follow and at least land some of the big names that the Bears got, which I was able to do for the first 3 rounds. After that, kind of turned into the crapshoot. Their bad pick of the bunch was a tight end named Adam Shaheen. He was already off the board when it was time to pick for the second round. I don't know how that happened, but we got Patrick Mahomes, 76 hidden dev. We got Tariq Cohen, who's a 74 normal, but a terrific weapon for the Chicago Bears on a great 1-2 punch. We got Eddie Jackson in the 3rd round. Him and Adrian Amos were a very formidable safety duo. And although he's kind of washed right now, unfortunately, there were some really, really good years out of Eddie Jackson. Outside of that, we need a fullback, so I got the best fullback on the board in Patrick Reichard. We got Moley Cox and Ricky Seals-Jones to kind of fill out the tight end position behind Zach Miller. But speaking of all those guys, now with this draft class complete, let's take a look at our roster and get into year 1 of the rebuild. Here's a look at our Chicago Bears team as we gear up for the 2017-2018 season. We got Patrick Mahomes, 76 hidden dev. Feel like that's a fairly good starting spot here for old Patty. Obviously, we know the future. We know what the future holds. But 76, given the guy that was known as like a high upside, toolsy quarterback at a Texas Tech, that's a good starting spot. I think Trubisky's rookie rating was a 77 as well. And I know that because I looked at the roster just to see if we can get it as close to a starting point as Trubisky had. So we have Jordan Howard at running back. He's 86 and 85 entering his second year. You're going to remember, man, Jordan Howard had like 1,600 yards as a rookie. What a stud pick. Tariq Cohen is going to be our 3rd down back. I'm also going to throw him in the slot. We have Alshon Jeffrey. In real life, he hit free agency, went to the Philadelphia Eagles. I just said we got to give Mahomes maybe something here. And I offered him 1 contract. He actually took it. So we have Alshon, Cam Meredith, and Kevin White are really like our big 3 wide receivers. O-line, Charles Leno, Josh Sitton, Cody Whitehair, Kyle Long, and Bobby Massey. I think, obviously, tackles are a little bit lower than the inside. That will be a spot we look at during the draft. Zach Moon, before his horrific injury, was a really damn underrated tight end. He had an 86 overall rating that year. Defensively, we got Akeem Hicks, Eddie Goldman, and Bullard. Bullard, because it's Gator bias, he went from normal to star dev last year, just in the sim season, and I always thought he was underrated, was very good at Florida. So I was like, you know what, I'll keep that dev trade on him. In the secondary, we have Kyle Fuller, Bryce Callahan, Cravon LeBlanc, Adrian Amos, and we're going to have Eddie Jackson to start there at strong safety. And for our linebacking core, Pernell McPhee, Jarrell Freeman, Danny Trevathan, and Leonard Floyd. All in all, I expect Bears generally are a fairly good sim team. Mahomes is a god. I expect 2 to 3 Super Bowls here over the next 5 seasons. Actually, kind of cool here in year 1. Leonard Floyd had a dev trade scenario. Guy that's good player, but never really lived up to that 1st round billing. And, you know, given the fact that they moved on from Khalil Mack and he was still a first-round pick, never took that next level, yada, 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 yada. This is a redraft rebuild, not only for Patrick Mahomes, but to maybe make the most out of some of these busts. Kevin White. And now we have Leonard Floyd going from star up to a superstar to have big, big get for the defense. And to repeat, our team record's pretty bad in year one, but Eddie Goldman also got a dev trade scenario, and he is up from star to a superstar. But as we are week 13, we're sitting at a pretty disappointing 4-7 record. For this first free agency period, we're going to throw a little bit of money around, keep these guys together. We got Akeem Hicks on a 3-year, Pat O'Donnell. Zach Miller actually declined my contract, and it was already didn't like giving it to him anyways at that age, at that price point. So we might let him walk and address tight end in the upcoming draft. But I will tell you, I'm going to try to let history repeat itself. And Roquan Smith is our top target for this 2018 draft. We got Kyle Fuller re-signed, Cam Meredith re-signed, and Charles Leno at left tackle re-signed. At the end of year one of the Mahomes era, 7-10, which is kind of probably realistic for where they would have been. Take a look at our stats. I did think that the Bears sim playbook would be a little better, but 4,600 yards passing, 31 touchdowns, top 10 in both categories for Patrick Mahomes is pretty good. We got 1,000 yards for Jordan Howard, 1,010 for Alshon, 1,000 yards for Meredith, almost 1,000 for Kevin White, man. If we can make Kevin White a thing, that would be pretty dope in this rebuild. 10 sacks, Leonard Floyd, 4 picks for Strap LeBlanc, who was really good for the Eagles a minute ago. Yearly awards, MVP went to Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes coming in at number 6. He's also the Offensive Rookie of the Year, so congratulations to Mr. Mahomes. But let's get into the offseason and gear for year 2, where hopefully you find a little bit more success on the field. So here's a look at our draft recap. As always, this is the draft that is botched, every attribute is off by 1, so I'm going to fix it. The ratings will change slightly. Some guys will go up a little bit, some guys will go down a little bit, but we got Roquan Smith. Try to follow along the lines of the actual draft. Not always, it's not, but I mean, when you have some good players, players that were solid, players that had some upside, I'd figure I'd pull the trigger. So Roquan Smith is 78 right now, as is with a hidden dev. James Daniels was normal dev. I went Anthony Miller. I was like, I shouldn't go it, but he came out hidden dev. So we'll absolutely take that. We got Bilal Nichols, a little bit lower. I think maybe once we fix the stats, it'll go up a little bit. Tyler Conklin, Kylie Fitz, and Tim Settle. For year 2 free agency, throwing around a little bit of money. We have Josh Sitton. I'm going to give him a 1-year deal. Plan is to probably kick over either Cody Whitehair or James Daniels like the Bears actually did in real life. But we're going to ride Sitton until he retires. We got Goldman locked up. Amos locked up. Why not? Let's continue to see if we can get the revival year of Kevin White. Had 900 yards last year. Got Crayvon LeBlanc re-signed. That's about it. We still have a lot of salary cap. And knowing that we have Mahomes on his rookie deal for the entirety of this rebuild, we can be a little bit aggressive. And we're also 7-1. That one loss did come in week 8 against the Green Bay Packers. But it's starting to look like the Sim Bears cheese that we know and love is starting to get in full effect. And then year 2, quite a magical season. Not too often you go 13-4 and come second place in the division. But we did that, and unfortunately, we lost in the NFC Championship game. At least we beat the Packers in the divisional round, the team that, you know, we were tied and they gave them the edge. Unfortunately, defense showed up. Offense did not in the NFC Championship game as we fall to the Panthers 13-10. At least Mahomes was okay. It wasn't like he had 3-4 picks. But it's just, you know, our first playoff run. And to have a dominant regular season and to get 2 playoff victories in hand, you definitely can build off that going year 3, 4, and 5. And I mean, ultimately, while we want multiple Super Bowls, I think the end goal here is at least 1. And I think this team absolutely has it in them to get 1 Super Bowl. Looking at Mahomes, outstanding 6th in yards, 2nd in touchdowns with 37. We had 1,300 yards, 18 touchdowns. Jordan Howard, 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns. Alshon, Cam Meredith with 11 touchdowns, 900 yards there for Kevin White. Almost 1,000. I want to get him 1,000. Roquan Smith, 123 tackles in his rookie season. He is up to an 87 superstar. Absolute baller. And unlike the Bears in real life, we actually have a first-round draft pick for this upcoming draft. In real life, they didn't have a pick to the 3rd round. That's where they got David Montgomery, which is a great pick for them. But we're going to be able to, like, you know, reshift history here a little bit as we look at Kyle Fuller and his 5 interceptions. Just looking quickly through the yearly awards. So the number 1 ranked offense, Cam Newton is the MVP. Patrick Mahomes coming in at number 7. And then just kind of burning through it here. Defensive Rookie of the Year went to Roquan Smith. Alshon Jeffrey is Wide Receiver of the Year. Love to see him go up to a superstar dev. And Kyle Fuller wins DB of the year. So we're having star standout players on offense and defense. And really, we were one game away from going to the Super Bowl here in year 2. So expectations are at an all-time high, gearing up for year 3. Well, I said we want to be aggressive in free agency, and really outside of if you don't need Landon Collins, very, very weak free agency class, so we are going to keep our money. A little look-see-poo at our draft recap. I threw myself into the mind of the 2019 draft, and that's kind of how we fell for our board here. I got A.J. Brown, who you got to remember during that draft cycle, fell to the second round, but at the beginning of that college football year, A.J. Brown was wide receiver 1. So I pulled the trigger on him. We needed a big-time playmaker at wide receiver, especially even though Alshon went up dev, which you will see when we take the team overview. He's getting out there in age. We need a new wide receiver 1 for Patrick Mahomes. We got Greg Little, who much like, A.J. Brown, was regarded as a top tackle at the beginning of that college football season. We needed a tackle, so we grabbed him in the second round. And I just kind of simmed out. We got Greg Gaines, Gary Jennings, Jordan Miller, DeMarcus Christmas, and Donnie Lewis Jr. Overall, solid draft class, but very top-heavy with the A.J. Brown selection. Let's get into year 3. We were very good last year. This year, even better. Jordan Howard's up to a superstar. Alshon, superstar. We have A.J. Brown will be our slot. Kevin White, why not? Let's continue the progression. Ricky Seals-Jones went from normal up to a star. Greg Little will be starting at right tackle, clearly the weak link of the offense. Flipping to the defense, front 3, all superstars. Bullard went from star to superstar. Linebacking core remains the same. Roquan Smith going into year 2. I expect big things. Eddie Jackson, Amos at safety. Kyle Fuller went from star up to a superstar last year with his high interceptions and tackles. Got Bryce Callahan there. So, I mean, really no weaknesses outside of tackle on this team. I'm thinking 11 wins minimum. And as free agents here in year 3, Jordan Howard, absolutely. Leonard Floyd, Josh sitting on a 1-year. Pat O'Donnell. I decided to actually go with Nick Kwiatkowski, 77 at 26, over Danny Trevathan. I think Trevathan's going to probably regress down to about, similar level to Kwiatkowski. We have Bullard, Whitehair, all locked up as well. Good thing about not spending big in free agencies. Again, we talk about every single time in my rebuilds. You can keep as many guys as you would like, and that is very important for team building. At the end of year 3, we're Super Bowl bound. Not only that, we're taking on Khalil Mack, which is one of the biggest trades the Chicago Bears have ever done. We won the NFC North 11-6, and I think when you look at, I guess we'll call it the chemicals at play. You have the Bears, who generally are a strong sim team. You have an exceptional quarterback who can get the job done. We beat Dallas. We beat the Falcons, and it sets up a matchup here in the Super Bowl against the Raiders. Everything in play, I knew almost all along that this was going to be a successful rebuild. Clearly, someone like Patrick Mahomes would thrive in Chicago. Looking at the stats here, 7th in yards, had the most passing touchdowns in the NFL with 44. Big year to Jordan Howard. Big year to Alshon, who's now up to a superstar X-Factor wide receiver. He didn't even hit that when he won the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, but Alshon knows a thing or two about winning the Super Bowl. He's got to try to do it today. Look at Kevin White becoming a thing. 1,100 yards for Kevin White. 14 touchdowns. All it took was Mahomes to get there. A.J. Brown, almost 1,000 yards in his rookie season as our third threat. Roquan Smith, tackle machine. 13.5 sacks. Leonard Floyd, 12.5. Akeem Hicks. It's just, there's levels to this. This team is super dominant. Let's sit up front row. Year 3 and win this freaking Super Bowl. And it's also kind of cool that our first Super Bowl appearance is against, we talked about it. I don't know, has there ever been a bigger trade for the Chicago Bears outside of trading Khalil Mack to the Vegas Raiders? What is going on? We are getting absolutely smoked right now. They're on top of us. We need a touchdown, which we get, and then we just let them score again before halftime. This is a disgusting performance from the Chicago Bears, but luckily, that field goal did absolutely nothing for us. Wow. A humbling experience, to say the least. They literally held the ball to the end of the That was, honestly, out of all the Super Bowl sims I've had, that's probably one of the most depressing and disappointing ones that I've seen. We literally did nothing. We literally did nothing. Luckily, we got 2 more years to go. A little bit heavy in free agents. You got Anthony Brown, who somehow is a 94 X Factor. I don't know how that happened, but we absolutely needed a third corner. And then I got Bruce Irvin as our kind of Band-Aid stopgap type pass rusher. Our draft recap from the 2020 draft. We knew what we needed, and we got after it, man. Computer got us Grant Delpit here. Pretty bad rating. I got Ezra Cleveland in the second round. I actually didn't think he'd have a dev trait. I was just kind of like, I needed to fill out the offensive line. But we did need a tackle, so I kind of, a little bit of cheese here. We needed a right tackle. I got the best right tackle on the board. The best right tackle from the class. One of the best right tackles in the NFL today in Tristan Wirfs. For our final in-house free agency period, fairly simple to keep the top players here, even with the expensive last free agency period into the offseason. We still have plenty of money. Alshon Sitton, short-term deal. Eddie Jackson. I think with AJ Brown and we don't really need Cam Meredith. Like Ricky Seals-Jones, he's been a nice little surprise at tight end, 25 star dev, up to an 8. I get Tariq Cohen too as a receiving back, still about $30 million. So if things don't go this way, we might be able to make one more big splash ahead of year 5. But I intend on winning a Super Bowl here this year in year 4. And then year 4, back into the Super Bowl against, oddly enough, if you have Patrick Mahomes, might as well have to try to take down the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 15-2. We've absolutely crushed it on this playoff run. I think we had 45 points, something like that. 48-45, absolute shootout there in the divisional round against our bitter rival. Green Bay Packers, 5 touchdowns for Mahomes, 4 touchdowns for Rodgers. Gets us into the NFC Championship game against the Arizona Cardinals. Another high-scoring matchup. RG3, and we got old Patty Mahomes. Big game from Jordan Howard, though, almost 200 yards on the ground. And we are back to Super Bowl like promised, man. Our team's just so stacked, man. But as you saw last year, one of the most depressing, sim Super Bowls I've seen. Mahomes here in year 4, good. 4,500 yards, 34 touchdowns. Another big year out of Jordan Howard. 12-6, Ricky Seals-Jones. 11-14, Alshon. 1,100 yards for Kevin White. Let's go. Stand up. 121 tackles, Roquan Smith. We got 13.5 sacks at Keem Hicks. 13 from John Bullard. 11.5 Leonard Floyd. And interceptions, 3s across the board here in year 4. Let's go for the Super Bowl. Okay, so it's Alex Smith, who, he was the guy before Mahomes. And the Kansas City Chiefs taking on, we're going up against a game manager is what I'm trying to say. So I think if we can get 28 points, that's enough to win. And we got 14. It's looking actually fairly comfortable right now. We're moving the ball up and down the field. Got a 14, well, there we go, instant touchdown. We both traded touchdowns there. Going into the third, scoreless third. I think when push comes to shove, I like the Bears defense. The Bears defense that we've built here over whatever the hell Kansas City would have been able to organize. And look at this, man. There's that Super Bowl. We'll still do a full 5 years. We'll go one more quick year, just see if we can build a little bit of a dynasty. But there is the Super Bowl. Just imagine. I don't hate to rub it in. Like every time we do these hypotheticals, we talk about what could have been. But I just imagine, man, if the Bears were like, you know what, this Mahomes kid at a Texas Tech, his upside is freaky. So we're going to shock the entire draft board. We're going to trade up. And instead of trading up for Mr. Biscuit, they trade up and get, one of the, I think along with probably Josh Allen, like the freakiest any team in the NFL would want them type quarterbacks. Akeem Hicks out of the University of Manitoba is our Super Bowl MVP. 7 tackles, 3 sacks here today. Let's get the old Super Bowl ceremony there just so that we can enjoy it. And then we'll quickly get into year 5. But at least it's a successful rebuild. And yes, if you put Patrick Mahomes, if you go back in time and draft Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback here. Why do they have his face scan? That's weird. As the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, you will win a Super Bowl after only 4 years. And we're about to find out if you can win a Super Bowl in years 5 and go with 2 in a 5-year period. So let's do it. And our final draft to try and win the damn thing. We got Jamin Davis, middle linebacker, 68. Brevin Jordan, Sam Cosme. We got Michael Carter in the 4th round, 73 with a hidden dev. So he might be able to carve out a little bit of role, maybe eat into Tariq Cohen's reps just a little bit. But obviously it wasn't. It's going to be tough to find a playmaker for how stacked our team is in our final draft. But it is our year 5 Chicago Bears team with Patrick Mahomes. We got 99 X Factor Mahomes, 99 X Factor Jordan Howard, 85 X Factor Alshon to go along with Kevin White and AJ Brown. Charles Leno, Josh Sitton, Cody Whitehair, Kyle Long, and superstar Tristan Wirfs makes up our offensive line with Seals-Jones at tight end. Defensively, we got Hicks, Goldman, and Bullard on the front. Leonard Floyd, Bailey, you know what? We'll probably go Davis there. Davis and Roquan. Roquan 97 X Factor. Bruce Irvin 80. We got Eddie Jackson and Amos at safety. Anthony Brown. Probably the most unrealistic thing here is that he was a super. He's not a bad player. He's a fine slot. Kyle Fuller and Bryce Callahan in the secondary. No weaknesses with this team. Honestly, we should have a chance to go undefeated. And then your vibe, we are back into the Super Bowl. We in the NFC North yet again at 11-6. It's a super team. I mean, I don't know. I can't gloat too much. This team is absolutely incredible. We beat the Falcons 31-28 in the championship game. We beat Dallas 31-10. Kicked the shit out of them. And it sets up a matchup here against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I like having these videos be like 15 minutes, but of course, we go on deep playoff runs every year with Chicago. Kind of stretches the video out a little bit, so we're not going to rush it. Let's take a look at the stats. 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns for Mahomes. Just big years out of everyone else. Alshon has been incredibly dominant. Glad we re-signed him and didn't let him go to Philly and win a Super Bowl there. 11 sacks for Leonard Floyd. And then through our 5 years with Patrick Mahomes, his stats sit at 22,000 passing yards, 177 touchdowns to 65 interceptions, which is obviously, I don't know, you could... pretty damn good. It's probably not where he's at in real life, because in real life he's getting 50 touchdowns every other year, but still so much better than what we have with Mitchell Trubisky. So let's kick our feet back, see if we can win back-to-back Super Bowls, and finish this with a little bit of a Bears-Mahomes dynasty. I'm not gonna lie, this Jags team actually looks a little bit scary. Got some good guys, Jalen Ramsey, Yannick Ngakoue. It's also another 99, so I think they could match our star talent. But they definitely don't have Patrick Mahomes, which is kind of our X factor. Pun intended. But Jags get a couple field goals here. Defense is doing a good job keeping them out of the end zone. 3 straight field goals. So if we could just start sneaking in a couple touchdowns here, we can make sure the Jags are just wasting their opportunities. Look at this, man. This is going to be the game that the Jags can get a lot of points, but their field goals, we get the touchdowns when we need it. We have that Super Bowl pedigree. We've been here. We've done that. We did it last year. Jags get the go-ahead. Oh, no. All right, we got a minute 46. This is where legends are made for Mr. Mahomes. Touchdown here, and I think we're going to win the Super Bowl. We kick a field goal. It goes to overtime. I think if we get a score here, we win, because we got the stop on the opening drive, and we actually get the touchdown. We do it the right way, and the Chicago Bears win their 2nd straight Super Bowl, beating up on Blake Bortles and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We don't need a glow. We don't need that 2nd Super Bowl ceremony celebration. 23-17, back-to-back Super Bowls, and we're just left thinking, what could have been? What if the Chicago Bears got Mahomes? Could they have done this in real life? I would say this. If the Bears got Mahomes, I think they would at least appeared in one Super Bowl, but maybe that's wishful thinking. But I thank you guys very much for tuning into today's Redraft Rebuild. As always, let me know in the comment section below, not only for the YouTube algorithm with the likes and the comments, but let me know what redraft you want to see. Maybe if it's your just general, what do you want to see? If it's your favorite team, what do you want to see? Keep on giving me ideas in the suggestions. I keep on writing them down. I got a full notepad of different ideas for this redraft rebuild. I'm glad that you guys are digging. I very much appreciate it. If it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys back here on the next one. Love ya, and peace out.